Hello everyone, welcome back to day 5 of our 2-week-long California road trip. If you've missed the last few episodes, I'd highly encourage you to go back and watch them as we visit all of the most beautiful places in the California desert. Today, we call it quits on the barren landscapes and head 3.5 hours north and a little bit south from Mojave, California to Sequoia National Park. This was our first of 3 national parks on the trip that traveled deep into the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Sequoia National Park was only the second ever national park in America and was designated as such to protect the sequoia trees. These trees are known to be the largest in the world, capable of reaching heights nearly 300 feet tall and diameters close to 40 feet. The sheer scale of these behemoths aren't comprehensible even after you've seen them in person. But what surprised me most about Sequoia National Park is that they have so much more to offer than just the sequoia trees. There's plenty of trails, some short and others at the length of a backpacking trip, and tons of stunning flora and fauna. We started our day by driving through the remaining portion of the Mojave Desert before it transitioned into a type of plains landscape. We'd come to discover that this would be a common sighting around California, mostly in the central area with all the farmland. Oddly enough, the scenery doesn't change much until after you enter Sequoia National Park. You'll start to get hints that things are becoming wetter because there's giant bodies of water scattered around the Lemon Hills. Several miles after entering, you begin gaining elevation via General's Highway. This is where things become much more lush, and it's also the very beginning of the route that connects Sequoia National Park to Kings Canyon National Park. While not as impressive as Kings Canyon's famous scenic byway, the drive up to the main section of Sequoia National Park is very underappreciated in my opinion. We started seeing lots of trees with an orange-brown shade to it, which totally convinced me that it was autumn, but it wasn't. I'm not really sure how that's possible. I think sometimes it means that the trees are dead, but I'm not totally sure. Eventually you start weaving your way through stunning green trees and sporadically see Moro Rock up above. We'll talk more about that thing later on. Close to the top of the mountain, there's a pullout for a viewing area called Amphitheater Point. While not the best viewpoint in the park, it's a nice introduction for what's to come. Eager to see more, we got back in our car and drove a couple more miles before seeing our first sequoia tree. And not just one or two, but the highest concentration in the park is right there, called the Giant Forest. This section of Sequoia National Park is located 6,000 feet above sea level and is a prime location for sequoia trees to grow due to the mild winters but still plenty of moisture. Sequoia trees aren't just huge, they're also beautiful. The only way to see the top of these things were by sticking my head out the window, and I struggled to capture them on video countless times.
Literally, I can't get any of the trees in my frame.
Not to be basic, but the Giant Forest is one of my favorite forests I've seen because I can't seem to get bored of these trees. Eventually, we made our way to the first of many trails we'd experience while in the park. And oddly enough, it had no correlation with the sequoia tree either. Moro Rock is an isolated dome-shaped granite formation with an easy half-mile trail to a panoramic lookout at the top. Almost all of the trail features upward elevation gain, but the stairs carved into the rock make it so much easier than it sounds. Plus, who wouldn't want to just take their time and relax on a trail this beautiful? This was honestly one of the most exciting and creative short hikes I've done in a while. Plus, the effort is more than worth it as you're given one of the best views from any of the popular attractions in the Sierra Nevada national parks. The views of the snowy mountain peaks are breathtaking, and the entire time there were swifts and swallows flying everywhere around us. We spent almost 40 minutes at the top taking in the scenery and bird watching, so if that tells you anything, this is a must-do attraction when visiting Sequoia National Park. Moving on, our next destination in the park was the Congress Trail and surrounding area for the world's largest tree, General Sherman tree. The tree stands 275 feet tall with a diameter of 36.5 feet and circumference of 102.6 feet.
Check out the size of the people, and then just the whole width of this tree is huge. It's not the tallest tree in the world, but it's the largest by volume, and it totally makes sense when you see it in person, especially next to it.
Because sequoias are some of the longest living trees on the planet, they're able to grow enough wood each year to make another 60-foot tall tree like this one. Now, there's no buts about it. The General Sherman tree is amazing to look at, but so are literally all of the other trees in the giant forest. That's why this isn't my top recommendation if you want to see giant sequoias on foot. There's other places in the park with just as imposing trees that are visible with a fraction of the crowds that the General Sherman tree gathers. We'll get to that later, but for now, let's carry on to the first waterfall hike of the trip. The Tobika Falls Trail is a 4-mile out and back adventure through Tobika Valley. It's a bit more enduring than I expected, but still well worth the effort for the falls and incredible views of steep granite cliffs, the first of many that we'd be seeing in the Sierra Nevada parks. To find the trailhead, park at the Lodgepole Campground parking lot. It's pretty big and shouldn't fill up even on busy days. Then cross the bridge that goes over the stunning Sequoia River, and then the trail awaits you and you'll be able to begin your scenic journey alongside the river and through the ultra-tall pine trees. We were lucky enough to see some gorgeous flora and fauna on this trail. This includes dandelion bushes, berry bushes, and even a marmot. Once you come up on the waterfall, the views of the granite cliffs get all the more dramatic. At the time of our visit, there was still tons of snow on the sides, which was the perfect complement to Tobika Falls. The waterfall is stunning, and I loved the small streaks of water flowing down the cliffside to the right of it. Our next stop at Sequoia National Park was the Big Trees Trail. This is what I was referencing earlier, a short hike that's just as impressive as the trees found on the Congress Trail with a fraction of the crowds. This is the type of place with hikes that you'll want peace and quiet in. Watching these towering behemoths with the sound of just birds chirping is an experience that can't be replicated anywhere else on Earth. The 1 mile trail circles around a stunning lush green meadow that adds the cherry on top of this already stunning landscape. Once we wrapped up at the Big Trees Trail, it was time to drive Generals Highway all the way to Kings Canyon National Park. We wanted to take in our surroundings in the daytime plus see one final view before calling it a night. Putting the sequoias aside, which were absolutely amazing, the rest of the trees here are also stunning. We made one last stop at the Redwood Mountain Overlook, spent some time there to soak in the final views of the day, and then found a safe, totally legal sleep spot. Sequoia National Park exceeded much of my expectations because its scenery is far more diverse than I expected. From the trees, cliffs, waterfalls, wildlife, and hiking, this park is absolutely amazing. And that's without mentioning the backpacking trips that we obviously weren't able to do. Those who are really looking for adventure can summit to the top of Mount Whitney via Whitney Portal Road on the other side of the mountain range. Yes, Mount Whitney, the highest point in the US mainland, is protected by Sequoia National Park. Pretty amazing stuff. Those of you who enjoyed this video, thanks for watching till the end, and stay tuned for the next video at Kings Canyon National Park. Bye guys.